Welcome to Several Questions with Nate Chappell, Finn Hammond, and Johnny Fisher.
So, the way the Several Questions work is not important today, okay? Sorry if I threw you off there by doing the opening the exact same as I would otherwise. Not playing a record scratch so you knew to be, like, what? But you should be like, what? And it's because today we don't have an episode of Several Questions for you. Instead, we have an episode of Goodnight Book, the new podcast from me and from Erica. You know, Erica, who subs in sometimes when Finn's running marathons. That's the one. So we started a podcast about children's books. We're basically giving reviews of children's books from the perspective of two tired, cynical parents. And so here is the first episode of that. It's called Goodnight Book. No, wait. It's called Goodnight Moon. Goodnight Book is the podcast, so it is called that also, but this is the Goodnight Moon episode, the first episode of thousands. Okay? And then go over and subscribe to that if you like it. Even if you don't, maybe just go over and subscribe to it there. Don't even listen to this episode. Listen to this part. Then after this, just switch on over, okay? Okay, well, gotta get going. I'll see you later. Bye. How do I turn this goddamn thing off?
Welcome to Goodnight Book with Erica and Nate.
It is lower than normal. That's what I'm trying to do, so that when I yell, it doesn't blow out. You know, when I get to my really controversial opinions.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait.
Where I'm really hammering it home. Yeah. And another thing, what kind of name is Clement? Stuff like that.
Yep. We really don't want an answer. Actually, I've done some research, and it's Hungarian. Mm-hmm.
It means maker of the picture. So the book we're talking about today, of course, is Goodnight Moon by Margaret Wise and illustrated by, Margaret Wise Brown?
Mm-hmm. She's got another
name
in
there. I knew her a long time ago when she was just Margaret Wise, so it's hard for me to remember. Margaret Wise Brown, and illustrated, of course, by the inevitable Clement Hurd.
He's really hard to swallow.
Yeah, it's hard to swallow. But not his illustrations. Do you have a synopsis for this book?
I do. It's bedtime for a little bunny who's observing and saying goodnight to all the things in his vividly green, red, and yellow room. Many things in the room happen to rhyme, but apparently nothing really rhymes with moon. That's mine. Do you have one?
Yeah, mine's shorter, but I think it captures the same basic thing. Somebody tries to confuse a little kid bunny into falling asleep with some nonsense and an unpredictable meter and rhyme scheme. So we both really dropped the hammer on the rhymes. Mm-hmm. Well, balloon technically rhymes with moon in there, doesn't it?
It does, but do they rhyme it with moon?
I mean, not exactly.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's inscrutable.
Yep, this one's a tough one. It's a classic, hugely famous book, obviously, and people all over the world love it. And there are lots of spin-off things with this particular book in terms of
like hello, moon, and good morning, moon, and good afternoon, moon, and moon. Do you know what time it is? Yeah, the whole series.
Because the moon is really clearly very easy to talk to and a good listener.
And tough to rhyme with, or unnecessary to rhyme with, I guess.
It's not a hard word to rhyme with, but she chooses odd.
She was like, Clement's like, I don't know how to draw a baboon, Maggie. I'm sorry. I just don't know how to do it. I'm going to come right out and say that I actually really like this book. And moving on to highlights. It's like highlights magazine. Nothing's wrong. Not in the what's wrong section. I'm not talking about the what's wrong on the back
Okay,
page.
so it's the
I'm
what's
not talking about Goofus or Gallant. Maybe I'm talking about Gallant, actually.
Yep.
This book is some nonsense, and I love nonsense, but it's also like nonsense that is close to not nonsense, which I love even more. Like where it's like sort of makes sense. Some stuff almost rhymes. You feel like you know how you're supposed to say something. I don't know.
And then she throws an extra syllable in there.
Or like there's another page in there. I just like, I don't know. It's like, I do feel like they're trying to confuse the kid into falling asleep, which is definitely like a tactic I've used before.
Yes.
But just like having long semantic debates with Wes just to see if it'll wear him out. It doesn't. But I still enjoy the tactic.
Yeah, you think that was their tactic in this book? It was confuse and awe?
Yeah, maybe. And it looks like they're having a tough time because one thing I like about this book that I was reading about this, I saw a meme that was about how if you look at the clock, it starts at 7 o'clock at the beginning.
Oh, no.
And I think it's 8 o'clock when he
by the time we've said goodnight to everything.
Shut the lights out. Which
That's
is
true.
relatable, quite relatable.
Well, I mean, and you do look at the bunny's position. Like at first he's in the bed or she, and then there's like a hopping about to like look at everything, but not in the room, just like out of the covers, under the covers, out of the covers, under the covers. And so I do notice that there is a struggle going on, and you're not quite sure who's saying goodnight to everything. Is the old lady?
That's definitely a question I had is the
say goodnight?
The quiet old lady whispering hush. Is she the mom? Is she is she the person putting the kid down? And if not, what's she doing there? Hey Ma, could you get out of here? I'm trying to put my kid down.
Well, yeah, I've been working on a new theory. I've been kind of workshopping this with some people around my house and my world. And we were wondering about this kind of overwhelming room. You know, the nature of the room is very primary colors plus green. And but yet there's also this fireplace. There's a roaring fireplace. Spacious. There's like enough room for a dollhouse and mice and kittens to play. It's just voluminous. And there's a telephone in the room, which when you think about when this book was written, which is the late 40s, telephones were like one per house, if that. They were a rarity. So like, why does this kid get a phone in his room? And like, why take that chance that somebody's going to ring up in the middle of bedtime? So we were kind of wondering if there was, this was a manor, and that lady is like the hired help. So this is really a book about elitism.
Interesting. I'm trying to now I'm going back and reevaluating all of the pages to see if anything else.
Yeah, she's the au pair.
Well, okay, but what about the mush then? Is she making fun of the mush, or is she just talking about what she experiences? She's like, say goodnight to your mush, and he's like, what's mush? Oh, you mean gold flakes? She's like, no, mush is what we eat.
Right. This is upstairs, downstairs situation. I think that it's also fancy that it's night mush. Like, isn't mush more of a morning thing? And he gets to have mush at night?
Yeah, he's working on his night mush, yeah. Unrelated story. What? The song Night Moves, I didn't know the song somehow. I missed it my whole life. And then I saw Viv karaoke it once, and it was like maybe when I fell in love with her.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
was she just rocking it, or was she?
Yeah, she's just really good at karaoke. I think it was maybe the first time I'd ever really seen her, and it was like, as far as I knew, it was an original. So like I didn't have anything to compare it to. I think that was probably the key.
Who does that at karaoke?
Did she write this?
And bring her own CD. Here you go.
Amazing. Wow. So I was just mostly impressed because I thought she must have been wealthy.
Yeah, I do have like a highlight to add to pile on to all of this, in addition to karaoke and telephones and the 1%. I also kind of love that room. I'm really torn. Like, I love the roaring fireplace, and I love the clothes drying. It all feels very cozy and snug to me. But I do feel like that room, if it's the first thing I think you think of with this book, you know, like if somebody was like, which book is Goodnight Moon? And you're like, you know, the Great Green Room with the yellow curtains. They're like, oh yeah, I got it. So it's, you know, I think it's kind of a weird mixture where it's both comforting
and kind of a
shocking
mad,
to the eyes.
yeah. What do you call it? Like a fun house or something, like a house of horrors, like a clown car, like a
circusy. Yeah, no, it's got
It
a
is
circusy
circusy,
vibe. Yeah, which is, you know, got its own problems. You know, I mean, and she is super highly regarded for her rhyming and her, like, she's like the queen of the lullaby. There's some title she gets that's like the maven of putting children to bed.
It's catchier than that, though. Maybe
I don't know how you could be, but yes. Lady Nap Lord. That's what I was thinking of, but I don't know why you'd have Lady and Lord in there. But who knows? You know, it's, you know, these days it's like so. I understand. I wanted to hear. So I heard that I saw a meme that said that you have some Margaret Wise Brown facts. Oh yeah, I can lay down some Margaret Wise Brown facts on
please,
you.
Please.
She's a fascinating character. She was born in 1910, and she started getting into publishing and editing like pretty young, and had done a number of books and was getting really famous. Was married very young, broke up with this guy, met Clement Hurd. They were not significant others, but she met him through the publishing industry, and his whole family is like really involved in illustrating as well. And then as she got more famous, she had a lady lover, and I don't know her name, but she was the ex-wife of the famous actor John Barrymore. And they were a domestic partnership situation for 10 years. That woman was 20 years older than Margaret Wise Brown and passed away. And then
suspicious.
Margaret Wise Brown was like traveling in France and met a Rockefeller and quickly got engaged to him, and then had her appendix out or some sort of like surgery, got a blood clot, and to show somebody that she was doing fine after her surgery, she kicked up her leg and said, "See, I'm fine." And that dislodged the blood clot, and it moved into her brain, and she had an aneurysm and died at age 42, right after getting engaged to a Rockefeller. I don't even know where to start with all of that. This lady's life. Oh, she was also really into beagles, and there's a name for that. She's like into beaglery.
Beaglery. Do you think anybody else has died from doing a high kick? Do you think she's the only person? I mean,
I bet there's been another person, but other circumstances that had nothing to do with it.
You didn't research that at all?
That was not the bunny hole I went down.
I was looking at some a lot of memes, but I didn't see any about that either. So,
I mean, it's Wikipedia, so it has to be true.
Wiki. I wanted to ask. One of my favorite characters in this book is the Mush. Okay. I like to say Mush. I always hated oatmeal my whole life. I don't like mush in general, mush food. Yeah. But in the last couple of years, I've really come around, and I love oatmeal specifically as a mush. So I kind of discovered this book alongside my growing into my love of mush. Oh, well timed. Mush. I'm really sentimental today, apparently. First this, Viv talk, and now the mush. It's all about mush. Maybe it's really about mush, not anyway. So mush. What's your favorite mush?
Oh, that's a tough one. I You know, when I see the mush in the book, I'm not feeling sentimental or having desires to eat it. I like a mush that's got some like texture to it with some like give me some oatmeal, maybe some, you know, quinoa, and then like throw some nuts and berries in it and some maple syrup. I like a little crunch in my mush. Or is it not mush anymore if there's crunch?
I think it's less
I think
mush. It's enhanced mush.
Okay,
Mush
yeah,
plus.
I don't want to. I feel like it's still in that category because the foundation of it.
Well,
is
I'll
fluff.
confess. I'll confess that I do put other things in my oatmeal, although most of them are pretty mushy. Bananas.
Yeah, tell me
bloobs,
yours. Yeah, I like the bloobs too.
and then straubs. But this time of year, it's like they're pretty mushy too. So it's pretty disgusting, actually. Like part of like my morning routine is like fishing through strawberry goo. Not in a good way.
No, I mean, I wish that kind of mush could somehow all of a sudden be delectable and appetizing because I feel like that's what happens to fruit this time of year. It turns into its own mush, but it's not good.
No, I guess a lot of some animals really like that rotten fruit. I wish we were animals.
Is there ever anything else that you do make into mush besides grain-based
Well, I mean,
mushes?
I guess I like would you call ice cream a mush if you stir it up? Because
Yes,
like I'll stir, like if you have like if you have like chocolate and with chocolate sauce on it. I mean, sorry, a vanilla ice cream and chocolate sauce on it. I'll stir that up. I feel like that sort of makes it into a mush. Other than that, I would say I like a rice pile, but that's not very mushy.
It's kind of interesting to think about this. Maybe we could start a recipe book as an offshoot of this chat, like mush for morning, mush for lunch, mush for dinner,
And a
mush for
sensible
dessert.
dinner. Oh, okay. Oh, like
Mush
a
all
dinner
the time.
mush, all mush.
Dinner mush.
Mash mux, Max Mush. Well, switch those around. Hi, I'm Max Mush. We could do like an infomercial and stuff. I could adopt a whole character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Selling the
Well,
mush.
let's not give all of our secrets away before we
True.
really get going. They talk about the cow jumping over the moon.
Yes, they do.
What? Why? What? It's funny that they don't refer to it any more than just that. So
Right.
why do you think that?
Maybe
is?
there's a copyright issue.
That's what I was.
I
wondering.
don't think I could like recite that entire nursery rhyme.
What nursery rhyme could you recite?
I could do. There's a really short one that has peas and porridge. Back to mush. Peas porridge hot. Peas porridge cold. Peas porridge in the pot 9 days old. And then there's a
Some
second
like
verse.
it hot, some
There
like
you
it
go.
cold, some like it in the pot 9 days old. There's a hand thing that goes along with it too.
Oh yeah, like patty cake.
Yeah, it's a bit like patty cake.
Is patty cake considered a nursery rhyme? I could do that one too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if
It's
I've
a-
even considered peas porridge one because of the hand gestures, though. So that's just. I don't think
Okay.
that's.
Isn't that interesting?
like,
What else? What else? you got?
So it goes, hey, diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon, the little boy, no, the little something, the
Dog.
little dog
Laughed
laughed to see such a sight, and the cup
Dish
ran away
ran
with
away
a
with a
spoon.
Oh,
All
we can
right.
do it together.
Well, that's pretty stupid. Speaking of nonsense, maybe she was like homage to the OG nonsense.
It is OG nonsense. Well, and also in the book, this is the hardest part to read and not get real frustrated with. Good night, room. Good night, moon. Good night, cow jumping over the moon.
Yes. It's
And
really
then
annoying.
you've lost me. Yes.
Like, did you just rhyme moon with moon?
And room.
Yeah.
I'm a stickler. I want that consonant at the end to be the
But
same.
I guess
I'm doing it.
I guess what I
I'm
like
doing it.
about what they do is that they just don't give you, like, they mess with your expectations and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
this is your hang up, man. We're not even trying here. See? Look at this page.
But if the kid were falling asleep and then all of a sudden the cadence got off, wouldn't
Oh,
they
I
just
see what you're
jolt
saying.
right up right there? Oh my God, what? Cow jumping over the moon?
What are you?
I was just asleep.
You just said moon. Old lady, get out of my room.
Yeah, that's a hard one for me.
Oh, I was gonna say my biggest highlight maybe is that they gave Clement the day off for one page. They were like, the good night nobody. Yeah, I love that because it's like he forgot to send it in, and so they changed it, or like they miscounted the pages, and they're like, uh-oh, is this gonna mess up the meter? And Margaret Wise Brown is like, do not worry.
I got this.
Don't worry.
You see how I just rhyme moon with moon, right?
Yeah.
Like, I am Margaret Weiss Brown. I've got this.
Yeah. My rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B, B, C, D, E, 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 F, A, B, A. That was fancy at the end.
Oh, I like that. That's recreate some sort of rhyming scheme to what you just said somehow.
Do you have a hard time falling asleep? Like putting yourself to bed?
Yeah. I do it to myself. Yeah.
What are your tricks?
I know. I don't say goodnight to everything in the room. That's for sure.
Well, there's your problem.
I know. We used to do that with Olive, actually. We used to follow suit, the goodnight moon, walk around the room, say goodnight to everything. It did not help. None of this helped. So now I just, like a grown-up, watch Instagram until all the blue light keeps me up until midnight, and then listen to a stories podcast, actually. That puts me to sleep. It's lovely. It's a British man with a very slow, calm voice.
I listen to a British person if I need to fall asleep sometimes, too. It's a science podcast.
Oh, nice. Just to try to bore yourself to death.
Mm-hmm. But then sometimes they say aluminium.
And then you jolt straight up.
And I'm like, what? Cow jumping over the moon?
Yeah. What are you rhyming with aluminium?
Yeah.
Moon doesn't rhyme with that.
That would be hard to rhyme with, actually. Aluminium? Squigium? I just made up a word. Squigium. See, that's the one of the Dr. Seuss school of thought.
It's true. I mean, like, he's kind of cheating in that way, where Margaret Rice Brown is like, I'm just going to use 15 words in different ways.
That's actually, that rhyming thing that he does is actually how he lost his medical license. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, they took it away from him because they didn't like his rhyming.
It's a tough world out there.
It is a tough world.
Standards.
Well, speaking of standards, I think we've met all of the standards that we've had for today's episode. That's really all we have to say about Goodnight Moon for today. If you enjoy the show, please rate it and review it. Tell somebody you like about us, and if you don't like it, then tell somebody you hate. For a transcript of this episode or any episode, please send a self-addressed stamped envelope to the address on your screen, and we will send you back a post-it note that just says, "We don't have that." Until next time, good night, mush. Good night, creepy old lady. And good night, book.
The end.